to see the green flag, which will start 94 laps here at Talladega. Green flag in the air, we're underway.
This is as calm as it's going to be right here now.
Is this the calm before the storm?
Absolutely.
Out in front, James Busher has a few trucks tacking in behind him. You're going to see big bunches of trucks running around this racetrack. But at times, they will test that two-truck tandem and see if they can pull away from the pack.
And I think that will result in our first caution. The first time somebody that hasn't cross-drafted or two-truck tandem this deal tries to do that, and they don't have the experience of knowing how to do it, they're going to get a truck out of control. You need to have some experience, and you got to know what you're doing to do this.
I think we're doing it right now. That's Mike Wallace and Hornaday. Mike Wallace and Ron Hornaday. That's right. Mike Wallace is in the 33. Ron Hornaday. Watch them go by these three trucks on the inside.
Look at how fast they were able to not only come from about 20 truck lengths back, but overtake the pack and the three trucks on the bottom of the racetrack because they were touching. And as a matter of fact, they added Teflon tape to the front and back of these trucks so that they wouldn't be so abrasive.
Slippery tape. They got it from skateboards. That's where that tape came from.
And look at the way they pulled away from the rest of the pack. Now, we talked with Mike Wallace. He said they can't do this for a lot of laps, but they're going to test to see how far they can go.
And they obviously didn't wait till 5 laps to go down.
No, they had to figure it out early. We figured that's the way the experienced guys would do it. And the reason why, Rick, they can't push forever is because the engine will overheat. The truck in the back is not getting air into his radiator, so it will overheat.
What do you want to do?
This is interesting. Listen to these two.
Now they're communicating, and they're talking to each other.
Next lap, we need to get you to lead here. Next lap, lead, bud. I'll follow.
Now this goes on all day long when you do these two truck tandems. Those trucks have to be able to talk to one another. See the lead they carry the rest of the field? But this is going to be interesting, Phil, when they make the swap. I don't believe they can swap and have that and still be able to keep their momentum and keep this lead. The other trucks, the big pack, is going to catch them when they go to swap. What will they do when they get there?
I watched Kurt Busch and Regan Smith swap yesterday, and it was a second, 4/10 of a second is what it took them to do it.
There they go. They're changing positions now. Hornaday will now take the point. Mike Wallace tucks in behind. In practice yesterday, they never practiced with Hornaday out front. It was always Mike Wallace that was out front, and Hornaday was pushing. So this will be their practice. And it's already, we've got 6 laps into the field, into this race.
Is it a big surprise why Kevin Harvick and Mike Wallace to run that truck?
Took about a lap to figure that out. But here's the problem, Phil. This is what causes crash. You can see 3 wide trying to split those two as they make the switch. But Kevin Harvick Incorporated pulled the first few laps of this race off flawlessly. They got the lead for the 2 truck. Ron Hornaday led this race. That means a championship point.
And they're big right now.
On lap 4 of 94, 3 laps complete. Last time they went by, it was Hornaday that was your race leader, but we saw how they dropped back on the switch. So we'll see who will be on point when they come back to the stripe.
Look where they are now. They're on the right side of your screen. They probably dropped back outside the top 20.
And they were leading last time by, guys.
They were outrunning the pack by 4/10 of a second, and right now, they're at the back of the pack.
Okay, last time by, Ron Hornaday leads the race. This time by, officially...
They haven't even come up on the screen yet.
Officially, I'm waiting for them to appear. 24th and 25th position.
Yeah.
2.6 miles, 23 trucks past them.
Out in front of the field, James Busher once again, after winning the pole yesterday, has Austin Dillon behind him. But the trucks are not touching. They're running in a pack, but they're not actually making contact with one another. That's why they're not pulling away.
And Rick, the clock is going to, it started ticking when they threw the green. And it's just going to get more and more intense, and more people are going to try to touch and push. You saw the huge advantage the 2 truck tandem put on the rest of the field. There's going to be about 15 other pairs of 2 truck tandems that are going to try to figure this out. Ron Hornaday and Mike Wallace, perfect start to the race.
Ray Dunlap, what did Hornaday learn in that first 2 truck tandem?
Well, 2 quick things. He said they graded as not perfect because his truck was very, very good as the pusher, but not quite as good out front. And he didn't drag the brake enough to get Mike Wallace right back up on the bumper. And because they weren't hooked right together, that's why the field was able to go by. So I think they learned a very valuable lesson.
You know, I was talking to a lot of the drivers down in the garage area, and they said the front truck, because of the fact that the bumpers don't line up, Michael, were really all over the racetrack, and you had to really anticipate what to do when you got down to the corner. Once they loaded up the springs in the corner, they actually drove better than they did on the straightaways.
Yeah, the back straightaway is the toughest part of, and coming to the travel, you load it in the travel, it's pretty comfortable through there too. But you know, I don't know, Phil, there's no way, I can't see these guys, especially if two trucks are tied together, when they separate to make the switch, it's going to be really difficult, even if they do it perfectly, to hold off the whole field.
They lost just enough momentum when they did that a while ago to move back out of the top 20.
So many drivers we talked to prior to the green flag dropping, we're talking about strategy. What's your strategy going to be? Well, we've talked with teammates, we've talked with other drivers, we figured out who we're going to pair up with. Once the green flag dropped, it's who's closest to you. Who do you work with because they're right there?
Yeah, and that's fine for now, Rick, but what you want to do maybe is try to work your way around and position yourself near one of those trucks that you've got to deal with, one that you want to work with. You're going to get separated, but at some point you hope to be able to match yourself back up with your guy.
I talked to Austin Dillon before the race, and he only has 3 other frequencies in his radio that he can talk to. He said several other trucks have his frequency, but those are the only 3 that he planned on working with, and that's the 2 of Hornaday, the 33 of Mike Wallace, and his teammate Joey Coulter in the 22.
In the Cup Series, you've heard people have 18 to 20 different frequencies that they're working with, a very limited number for Austin Dillon.
My radio in my car looks like it's got Sirius XM on it. I got all kinds of choices in there. I saw the number 18, the number 20, every Toyota imaginable, a couple of Chevys. I didn't see any Fords on there. They must have something against the other manufacturers, you think?
Well, I'm starting to see teammates working together. Todd Bodine is just in front of Brendan Gaughan. They're bringing that second line of trucks up toward the front now. They're not touching those tail yet, but they have been able to move up toward the front and catch up to those leaders that are running on the bottom.
They were touching a little bit. You saw what a handful Todd had in that 5 truck.
Right. Brendan looked like he was a little bit out of whack there trying to get a hold of Todd. It's really tense to make sure you do it gently. Just barely get to him, and then when you get there, you need to hold the wheel as straight as you possibly can. Any movement on the back of that truck will get the front truck out of control. You can see Kligerman now is getting a push for Todd. They're going to go for the lead, Bill.
Yep, they're going to go. They worked together in practice yesterday.
And we saw Kligerman see that second line moving. Todd was in front. Kligerman moved out in front, and he and Todd Bodine now have moved to the front of the field. Parker Kligerman is leading at Talladega.
They see, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. See how the trucks are moving around on each other? Todd down on the inside, then up on the outside. That's making it very difficult for Parker to drive that truck.
Extremely difficult for Parker. That's why he has his hands full trying to keep up with where that truck wants to go. And it's really because Todd's pushing him. He's pushing that rear end around in that truck.
Parker Kligerman leads the lap here.
Now there are times, Phil, that you will call from the truck seat. The driver will call in and say, "Tell him not to push me anymore. I don't like how he does it." Everybody doesn't have the finesse, the ability to push you smoothly, and you just want those people to get away from you.
Saw Mike Wallace on the outside of a 3-wide situation. They're trying to make his way up. He's got Hornaday behind him.
When I say he doesn't have the ability, some of the trucks just don't match up more so than others. I know they're all a little bit.
Different manufacturers don't match up as well.
Yeah, and you just say, okay, this isn't going to work for me. I'm going to wreck.
Hermie Sadler, what's happening on pit road?
Well, take a look to the back of the track. You'll see Motorsports teammates Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton. They have followed to the back of the field for a couple reasons. The obvious one is to try to miss the big wreck and make it to the end. But the other, to Michael Walker's point, they are practicing dragging the brake and doing switches to prepare themselves later on in this race when it really matters. These guys are swapping and